What's up, y'all, and welcome into the Jack Vita Show. I'm your host, as always, Jack Vita. Unfortunately, Stephanie LaGrossa Kendrick is not here today. Filling in for Stephanie, though. Season 1, Traitors contestant, fan favorite, the most memorable new person from last season. How about that?
Alan's favorite, at least, right?
Alan's favorite. Michael Davidson, big reality TV fan. It's great to have you on.
Thank you.
So Michael is filling in for Stephanie today, and Michael is probably the most knowledgeable reality TV person out of anybody from season 1. That includes the veterans, the newbies. Like, this dude is a big time fan of shows, Survivor, Big Brother. He's watched it all, and he got a cup of coffee on the Traitors season 1. He was around for a few episodes, and it has a great Instagram. He answers questions about the show, very interactive. So Michael is joining us in Stephanie's place. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, Stephanie's not here today. Stephanie, I need to make this clear before we dive into everything. Stephanie is a very busy mother of 3. Her time is very limited. They're on a ski trip right now. I wish that they had lined up the finale of the Traitors 1 week earlier so we could get her take, but she will be back on in a week or two. We'll have her on in a couple weeks at some point. She'll give her thoughts on all things on this finale, the reunion show. We're also going to have more Traitors content coming, which I'll talk about a little later, some of our interviews that we have lined up. Anyway, before we get into all of this, I just would love it if you guys hit subscribe here on the Jack Vita Show on YouTube. We recently made a decision to split 2 of our channels, so for the last several years, we had a sports and entertainment content on the same channel. We've decided to break that up. So if you want to check out my sports channel, I'm going to leave that link here. We're starting from scratch there. We've got no subscribers, no videos yet, but that is where all the sports content will go. And then on this channel will be our reality TV entertainment content. And we're just getting started this year with reality TV coverage because I'm excited to share, Michael, that I will be covering Deal or No Deal Island for the rest of the season. Brooke Struck from Survivor Guatemala. She will be my co-host. And again, that is because Stephanie's time is very limited. So Stephanie's our Traitors correspondent. We've got Brooke doing the Deal or No Deal Island stuff. And Brooke's awesome. You guys will love her. And then we're also going to have exit interviews from Deal or No Deal Island. So that's all going to be right after the episode. So this episode right now that we're taping is coming out on Monday. Our Deal or No Deal Island episode will come out on Tuesday, and then our exit interview will come out sometime later in the week. So we're really excited about that stuff. It's been a very crazy several days, so we're actually late on this podcast, but guess what? We're going to talk about the finale and the reunion today. Are you ready to get into it, Michael? Did I forget anything?
No, you didn't. But since you built up like this new era of entertainment podcast, I'll give you some tea as a reality TV fan that I heard today. Traitors season 3 allegedly begins filming in May. So,
ooh,
yeah.
So do you think it'll come out in the fall then instead of January?
I don't know because it's we filmed in April and didn't wait until January, but season 2 filmed in October and came out in January. But January 12th has been their premiere date both times. So, but with it being such a hot show now, I think that they may just do like a fall rather than have to wait a year. So I would anticipate fall, but that's just, me, but what do I know? So.
Yeah, I mean it's like more of a prime time spot to start in the fall because it's kind of on right now in the time in between when there's no Survivor and a lot of other shows are off. But Traitors is here to play, and that's because we had such a fantastic season 2 of this show. We're gonna break everything down today, and I mentioned this to Michael and I were just kind of prepping our plan for today. So today's episode, obviously a little different. Steph's not here. we're going to go instead of just kind of walking through the episode chronologically or trying to touch on everything in the episode. We really want to tackle all of the headlines here. So this is like a kind of like a sports highlight show where we're giving you like this is the big news from the day or a newscast for that matter. So we're going to go through that because we just don't want to we want to make sure that we touch on everything that's super relevant both from this finale and from this reunion. I guess the best place to start, Michael, is Sandra's banishment. What happened here? Did you see this coming?
I I did see that coming. I did see that coming. And let me just start before I give my opinions on things. My opinions does not represent Jack Vita or his show, okay? Because I'm a very opinionated fan. I'm a very opinionated fan, and I'm coming to you hot today as a fan only, not a friend or not a Traitors contestant, but as a viewer at home. Okay, so Sandra has said in multiple interviews, publicly multiple times, that Phaedra was her traitor angel, meaning that she kept her safe. It's always good to have a traitor in the traitor turret because they keep you safe. So if you know that they're a traitor, who cares? Let them go because you know you're not going to get murdered. Don't bring the spotlight on them. So that's what she meant by traitor angel. And Sandra is a two-time winner. I don't think she needs any advice on how to win a game. Um, but I think Sandra's fatal flaw in this was that the other Bravo contestants made it to the end with Kate. So when her traitor angel was gone, she did not have a connection with anybody because on one hand you had Trishelle and CT who were like this. On the other, you had Kate and the follower, I mean the Bravos, who were like this. And then you had Sandra in the middle. And as great as Sandra is, you're not breaking up a 20-year friendship. You're not breaking up a 20-year relationship, and it's just not happening. And I think that was Sandra's biggest mistake in the game. As somebody who's qualified to pick apart a two-time winner's fatal flaws, but that's what I think Sandra's problem was, and I did see it coming. I did because MJ's going to do what she's told. Kate's going to do what she thinks she can do to get to the end. She has no loyalty, no friendship with anybody. And Trishelle and CT, they've said it multiple times. They're like big brother, big sister. They fight like cats and dogs, but at the end of the day, they got each other's back and they can beat each other up, but don't you dare come for each other. Don't you dare come for one of them. That's how brothers and sisters are. And so I did see Sandra going home.
You bring up a really interesting point. So what's the play for Sandra then? She's got to find someone like did she need to find someone else to choose in an alliance with because to her defense I will say the one person that she had built in as a quote unquote ally from her show was someone that she did not like for the last 14 years.
Yeah, that is very true. Um, it it just it sucks for Sandra in that moment. She tried so hard, and I love Sandra. She's such a big personality, so entertaining. But I don't think there was anything she could have done. There was nothing she could have done. Maybe she could have capitalized on somebody like Pete or John, who also had nobody. But I think Sandra waited too late in the game, and then she kind of realized, oh crap, everybody else has somebody, and I don't. And I give it to her. She did not back down. She fought there at that round table. It just didn't work out for her because those connections were unbreakable. So
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this obsessively over the last 3 days. Like, I'm trying to think about it from everybody's perspective, and I'm watching as I know what happens in the end. Now
yeah,
I'm thinking, okay, so the only thing that could have happened differently at this roundtable is if CT and Trishelle vote with Sandra and they banish Kate. Well,
yeah.
then here's a hypothetical, Michael. What happens at the final four then?
With all of them being faithfuls, um, I would say they show up to that ring of truth. Most likely, CT's banished because MJ was not going to turn on Sandra at that point because that was her only person left. We saw Trishelle initially turn on CT. So I would say it would probably have been the three women that won Sandra, MJ, and Trishelle, unless Sandra and MJ got rid of Trishelle. But I think Sandra had she been able to get CT and Trishelle on her side, she would have won. It would have definitely been her as the winner, and either Trishelle and MJ or one or the other. That's
Yeah,
what I
because
think.
I was thinking about this, and I was thinking if CT tries to end the game there, you're gonna go at a 2-2 deadlock for a long time. I don't see anybody budging.
Yeah,
So the only thing that I think could happen is everybody splits the money as a group of four, or like you said, you get into some really messy business where someone like CT could be banished, and so if CT, which I believe CT wanted to split this money with Trishelle and
yeah,
only have to share it with one person. Banishing Sandra at this spot, especially if he, like, let's say hypothetically, CT does not think Sandra's a traitor in this spot. If he does not think Sandra's a traitor and he thinks Kate is, this is a brilliant move to get into that situation where he and Trishelle have the numbers in the ring of truth or whatever it's called.
yeah. I agree. Um, Yeah, I agree. I've seen interviews with Trishelle, and she's mentioned that she was suspicious of CT because he didn't save her whenever they were lighting people's torches. That he chose to save, I think it was Phaedra, maybe, but he didn't choose to
John.
save John. He saved John, and she said, "Well, I don't feel like he saved me because he was already going to save me in the turret. He was not going to murder me." And he gave me the shield because he wasn't worried about being murdered. So she was dead set that he was a traitor. She said that in interviews post show. So I think that yeah, I think it would have been CT going home. It would have been Kate, then CT, and the three women would have shared it. Because
Yeah,
she
I
only
think
voted out Sandra because CT switched on her. That's the only she jumped on board with Sandra because CT led the pack and she didn't want to be left alone there at the final roundtable. So I don't think she would have done it.
so. I will announce we are interviewing Trishelle on this show.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Tell her I said hello.
Stephanie will be here. We're interviewing Trishelle. We've actually had this in the works for a little bit, and we didn't know that she was going to win. So this is like an awesome surprise that we get
Yeah.
to talk to one of the winners, and we'll reach out. I will reach out to CT and see if we can get his side of story on this as well. And
He's
also, I'll
filming
mention.
season 40 of the challenge right now. So,
Okay, so he's not doing any press then.
no, he's leaving for Vietnam, I think, this week. So, and again, reality TV fan here, like big fan right here. So,
Okay,
Bananas
well
is
that
too.
answered that. I will say though, because I know we get comments, guys. If there are people from the cast that you want us to interview, and we'll talk to anybody, even if we've been critical of them, we'll give them a fair shake of things. Nothing's personal. We're not attacking anybody. We're just commenting on the game that people are playing. So we'll talk to anybody who wants to come on from this season. Comment below who you want us to try to reach out to, and then send that person DMs and comments and tell them to come on the Jack Vita show.
Listen, you have to let Trishelle know that I'm her biggest fan. Like I'm obsessed. Like,
Since
let,
like '04 or whatever.
well, I've been a fan since like the Real World Las Vegas. Like I've been
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fan of Trishelle for a
'02
long
maybe.
time. Yeah. But now, as far as actually, I picked Trishelle. Trishelle was my winner pick preseason. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but
Mm,
I did a
didn't know
thing on
that.
Instagram. People asked me who I thought would win, and I said I think Trishelle will win. Now, that's not because I'm great, because I also predicted CT to be the first one murdered and Sandra to be the first one banished. So, like I'm not gonna like toot my own horn. It was purely luck. But I did. I predicted Trishelle to win. I thought she would win because CT and Bananas would be like meat shields for her, and they would keep her safe, but they would be the bigger target. And I just assumed that she would win. Um, but yeah, I loved her. Like she played such a good game. Like I watch all reality shows, all competition shows rather, and I've not seen anyone strategize and be so on point with things since maybe Parvati in Heroes versus Villains. Like, I mean, she was phenomenal. Like, absolutely floored me at how mentally strong she was and how she picked up on things. She didn't have anybody to listen to her, unfortunately. Like, had Pete and all those people listened to her, they probably would have been at the end with her. But I love Trishelle. Like, I listen, and MJ can go suck an egg somewhere. She's just bitter. Like, I'm Team Trishelle 100%. So.
Okay, we'll get into that, but I think it is important to try to think about what all these guys are doing. And I think that from my read on that final situation, and we'll get more into it in a second, but we're kind of touching on it here. CT gives a wink to Trishelle to say, like, I mean, hey, who knows exactly, but it looked to the viewers, it looks like you and me, we're doing this thing.
Yeah.
And they both say banish again. And the reason why I think Trishelle was not trying to cut MJ out intentionally was because she voted for CT at that second banishment. She
Yeah.
says this is something where if you have any inkling of doubt, you have to be conservative, you have to be safe here. And that's actually a really good point. Like it's kind of interesting because banishing again is a safe play to narrow the likelihood of another traitor being in the group, and then it also benefits you that you could end up taking more money home if it works out.
Yeah.
Now, what was amazing was if MJ had voted for CT would have lost.
That I know. Like, I don't get it. It's like we saw it with MJ and a handful of others. They just floated their way to the end of the game. They didn't bring anything to the table. They were nothing but an extra vote for whoever told them to vote that way. That's all that they were this entire game. And so I feel like MJ skated by or was drug along, floated her way to the end. And then once she got to the end, it's like she easily could have spoke up and said, CT, Trishelle is trying to get rid of you. What the heck is your problem? Or easily capitalized on the fact that Trishelle thought that CT was a traitor and been like, no, girl, you're on it. You're right. But no, she didn't know what to do because she didn't have anybody else to do it for her, which is how she got there in the first place. And so when push came to shove and all gloves were off or all life jackets were off at this point, she had to stand on her own 2 feet and she sunk to the bottom and drowned. And it's because she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know how to play the game. She literally floated her way to the end and she got took under. And it's like, you were set up perfectly, girl. Like, what is your problem? Don't get bitter because you didn't have anybody else to play the game with you there. Like, you should have thought about that when you were voting how people told you to vote this whole game. Like, you were right there at the end. You easily could have capitalized on the fact that Trishelle was turning on her partner or the fact that Trishelle thought her partner was a traitor. You had two ways to
Yeah.
go, and you probably could have had a very convincing argument with one of the two, but you didn't know what to say because, again, all season long, somebody said it for you. And she didn't have anybody else to speak on her behalf, so she didn't know what to do. I'm not a
I
fan of
thought
MJ.
I thought it was just amazing though because I did not think that that was going to happen. I thought
Yeah.
that MJ was going to be voted out. It was shocking that we got to this deadlock. I have no idea what's going to happen now. I'm on the edge of my seat. It's amazing television. This is such a great finale. And like you said, I don't know why she didn't switch her vote or try to do something to change the course of the strategy. But going back to what we started with, this is where she needed Sandra. She
Yeah.
should have kept Sandra in the game because it seems like at this point, Trishelle is trying to banish the traitors. That's her objective here. I don't think she's thinking about these 3D chess moves, which I do think, like, again, I would love to get CT's perspective on this because it is interesting that CT all of a sudden jumps to let's get Sandra out. We haven't mentioned Kate in all of this, and it was really interesting because we got an edit that was suggesting Kate's really like manipulating everybody,
Yeah.
but that just felt like they were sort of trying to like mislead us, so that way when we go into this fire of truth, we're like, okay, oh, Kate could win, but then they all just vote out Kate.
Yeah, let me just say something real quick. Like, Kate, I love Kate, but you just murdered someone, Kate. Like, you literally, like, 3 hours earlier murdered someone. And then you show up and you're like, oh, we're all faithful. No, you're not. Somebody was just murdered. Somebody, you're not all faithful. You literally just got rid of somebody. Like, at least throw it in and be like, it's MJ, like, do stuff. But like, no, we're all faithful. Like, no, you're not, girl. You literally just murdered somebody. It was funny, but I love Kate. She's very comical. I do think she kind of crumbled as a traitor. She's a far better faithful, and I think that's one of the things about these reality show contestants. Whenever you're picking them, who are like seasoned vets at this stuff, like, you need to pick people strategically on whether or not they're going to be a faithful or a traitor, because faithfuls fight with their back against the wall as if they have nothing to lose. A traitor is probably going to be like, "Oh man, I would love to lay it on you, but that'll bring heat on me. So let me reel it back in." And so, as a faithful, Kate didn't care to be dramatic and chaotic and entertaining because she had nothing to lose. As a traitor, she wanted the heat to be off of her and not have attention on her, so she was a little more reined in and a little lackluster. She wasn't as entertaining this time around. Whether or not that was because Rachel wasn't there with her, or whether or not that's because she was a traitor, I don't know.
She needs a rival. She needs a
Yeah, she needs
rival.
a rival, and she didn't have a rival. She had an easy, large group of Bravo women there surrounding her, and yeah. So, but I hope that whenever they're picking people for season 3, that they keep that in mind. I would love to see Abby Maria Gomez from Survivor. Like, she
Oh,
would
that's
be
a great
like,
pick.
she is so feisty, but she would be a phenomenal faithful. Like, I
She's
want
a
to
big
see that
Traitors
woman
fan
as a
too.
faithful. Yes, I want to see her as a faithful. So, any casting folks, production, if you're listening, Abby Maria as a faithful. Like, you can't beat that entertainment.
Oh, that's a good call. I like that one.
Tag
Kate, I
her
want to
in it and
say,
share it. Like, Abby Maria, we want you on Traitors. At Peacock, at Studio Lambert, give us a faithful Abby Maria. That's who we need.
Michael
Faithful.
just Michael just came up with the reel for our Instagram this week.
Yes.
That we're he's gonna post this one. Insert clips of Abby Maria from Survivor down here.
Like, going crazy on everyone. So,
Okay, so I want to give credit to Kate though, because I thought she took the high road. I think she came off very well in this finale. She tried. That's not really her skill set. She kind of owned up to that. She didn't really try to, like, she had been talking, she had been critical of the other traders, and then I think she was kind of like, oh man, that's harder than it
it's
looked.
hard
So
to look.
I liked that, and then at the reunion show, she took the high road. She didn't have anything bad to say. I think good look for Kate. Good
Yeah.
job, Kate.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about the game though, like my friend Ryan Packett texts me as he's watching the finale, and he said Kate's chances of winning went from 1% to 0% as she like tries to end the game.
I don't know. I had to get up with her later and be like, "Hey, what were you thinking? We're all faithful." Sheree just went home herself, or whatever her name is. Sheree. She was another MJ floater. Not a big fan of her either. Moving on. Like, all these
It
people are gonna be like,
reminds
"I hate
me.
that Jack Vita." It's not Jack Vita. It's all me. It's all my opinions. Like I said before, they are not representative of Jack. They're a fan only. So,
Michael, Kate with the trying to end the game, it felt like when a kid, like if one of your kids does something and they know they're guilty and they're just like you know that they're guilty. Like,
yeah.
is it that's kind of what it felt like.
Absolutely. It's like, I play hide and seek with my kids all the time, and my little boy be like, "I'm not under the bed," and I'm like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? It sounds like you might be under the bed." And I don't know. It was funny to me. It was good Kate comedy. So,
So good job trying, Kate. Didn't work out the way that you had hoped. It was really interesting though, because do you think that like they gave an edit to make it look like she was manipulating everybody,
yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised if that was more just like CT kind of going rogue on that. And if, because they show the conversation in the car And she keeps saying CT brought up your name, and they kind of made it look like she was the one who initiated that conversation and threw out, "Hey, Sandra," to CT, and then CT got in his head. Like, do you think that CT, like, that was initiated by Kate, that, like, CT going rogue and going for Sandra, or do you think that was CT's kind of his own idea?
I can't remember who said it, but there was also a conversation. I'm pretty sure Kate and CT were having it whenever Sheree and Sandra were at the table eating, and they were watching them through the window, and they were sitting on the railing of the
Yeah,
castle ground there.
yeah. A
And
couple episodes
during
back, yeah.
yeah, during that conversation, one of them said, "Well, if we save an obvious traitor for the fire of truth, and we take this shot now." If they're faithful, oh well, we still know who the obvious traitor is, but there's probably two traitors left. And if we take a shot at who we think it might be, turns out to be a traitor, good. Then we know who to definitely go for at the fire of truth. Turns out not, oh well, we still know who to definitely go for at the fire of truth. So I think it may have been something to do with that and just like
Yeah.
clever editing to give us a storyline. Um, I mean, she could have. Who knows? She absolutely could have. But I feel like if she did, they wouldn't have been so eager and like clearly voting for Kate, you know?
Right.
So I think it may have been editing to fool us there, but I could be wrong.
I think it was editing. I think they were trying to set up, like, because it was very choppy. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense the way that it was spliced up.
Yeah.
And obviously, those conversations happen very quickly, as I know, as someone who has never played the show, but you guys have, and you guys tell
Yeah.
me about it.
Two
So,
eliminations a day. We were not allowed to, well, season halfway through the game, we were not allowed to talk during lunch because cameras weren't rolling. They let us eat. And then finally, they're like, you know what? This is ample time for you guys to strategize. Here, go talk. Leave the room. Go talk. So then they started filming us. So, yeah, the first, I'd say 3 episodes of season one, there was none of that talking. It was very, quick. Like what time we had, I would say was about 30 minutes total throughout the day to strategize. It was rough. So anyway, go on. Sorry to interrupt, Churchy.
oh, no, no, very interesting. Like, I love it when you guys had those stories. I just think that to what you're saying about, hey, if we know that this one person is a traitor, we got to keep them there because, like you're saying, if they get Kate out there and now they go to the circle of truth, they don't know if there's a traitor left or not because they don't know how many traitors there are or there
Yeah.
were. So if they take their shot at Sandra before that final circle of truth or fire circle,
Whatever it's called. Yeah. I didn't make it there, so I don't know either. So
but if you do that, then it's like it's definitely murkier. It's
yeah.
like, are you able to, like, MJ might be thinking, okay, like, because MJ came along to
MJ's
vote.
probably not thinking anything, Jack. She's not
Oh man.
thinking anything. Let's put it where it's at. Somebody
Oh
else would
man.
probably be thinking it, but MJ's not thinking anything. So
MJ comes
you'll never
around on the
invite me back. Oh,
idea.
God, Michael.
No. You can say whatever you want. I'm just not going to pile on. I got nothing. I've got some thoughts on everything that happened, but I'm not going to that degree because I do think MJ, what I want to say is that MJ comes around on the idea of going for Kate at this circle. And I think if Sandra was in fact a traitor, then she might not do that. I don't know if she had a turning point when she realized, okay, well, there is one traitor left because they just murdered somebody. It's got to be Kate because it wasn't Sandra.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it makes a lot of sense to get Sandra out in that point to be able to use MJ at that last round because you're not going to be able. If you guys think that Sandra could be a traitor, which I actually do think CT thought that,
Yeah.
because let's go back to Sandra talked about it on this show a couple weeks ago. Great interview, and we loved having her on. She had said that, CT caught her saying to Phaedra, "Hey, shoot at Trishelle," and she made mention of she's fearful that may look like traitor behavior. And when she said that, I thought about it, and I also knew that she wasn't getting a whole lot of airtime with all like if she actually won the game, they would have highlighted her strategy of the traitor
Yeah.
angels, but they didn't. So I figured she was going to be out.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And like I think if I ever got to play the game, and that's going on what you said about CT possibly suspecting Sandra. If I ever got to play the game again, hopefully I do one day. I don't know. It's not looking good with all these celebrities. But like if I ever got to play the game again one day, I think I would go into a little more level headed and a little more clear minded because I was so chaotic and didn't really know what to think. But like looking back at the bigger picture, I remember I called home. We got to call home on Mother's Day. It was a very monitored phone call. They stood right beside of us. They made sure that nothing was discussed, and they was like, "Here, just call home. Tell the mothers in your life Happy Mother's Day." So I called home, and I was telling my ex-wife at the time, I was like, yeah, Ceree's here. And she's like, Michael, Ceree's a traitor. And I'm like, no, she's not. Don't you talk about Ceree like that. It's like, she's like, Michael, Ceree's a traitor. You watch Survivor. Like, she's like an assassin mentally. Like, she controls everyone around her. She's the best to never win because she's so good strategically. They picked her for a reason to be on the show, and she's a traitor. Like, hello, I'm not even there, and I'm telling you, she's a traitor. And then whenever they pick Dan for a traitor, like if you're a big Brother fan, like Dan, like obviously Dan's going to be a traitor. Like if you watch Big
Right.
Brother at all, and you're like, okay, he's on the show, traitor. Like I
Yeah, Michael
instantly, like
texted me that before the season started. He's like, Dan
yeah,
is definitely a traitor. And I'm like, you're right. He definitely is. It's got
like
to
you
be.
don't even have to watch the show to know that his personality is going to be a traitor. And so Sandra, as somebody who's won the game twice, and her social game is impeccable. As far as physically active, no, she's not that great. She usually sits out most challenges, but she is able to manipulate everybody around her and like move the pieces together. And like one of the reasons her and Parvati didn't get along was because Parvati arguably does. I'm not going to give my opinion on that because I love both Parvati and Sandra, so I'll keep quiet on that one. But Parvati arguably played the best game in Heroes versus Villains. I mean, she had a minority alliance of three people, and she convinced a guy to vote himself out. She took her three people, voted out all seven other people on her tribe, made it to the final tribal council with two of them, and so it's like, how do you go from being the number one target with 20 people in the game with three people and two of you make it to the end? But she didn't win because Sandra had the social game. And so a lot of people felt like, oh, it was a bitter jury, which caused that. And then it didn't help that on Winners at War, Parvati actually outlasted Sandra, but Sandra's elimination was more dramatic. So it was like a double elimination. So it was reversed, and the edit showed Parvati go first and Sandra go second because it was much more dramatic exit in the episode with. So again, you had this bitter rivalry of I deserve to win versus you were a floater, and now I outlasted you, but the edit makes it look like you outlasted me. And so I would assume that Sandra was going to be a traitor. I would assume absolutely because she has that reputation. I would have 1000% thought Sandra was going to be a traitor.
Yeah, I remember talking about this with Bergie a few weeks ago, and Stephanie has been saying it all season long. She said, for season 3, randomize the traitors. Or at
Yeah.
least, like, maybe at least tell them it's randomized. Maybe it's not actually randomized, but tell them it's randomized. And Bergie agreed with that. And he said that, if you were a gamer, there was a lot more suspicion on you.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I think that especially after you see season 1, how well Sheree did, like it makes sense. So that was something that worked against Sandra. It's not a flawless game. There's some flaws in this
Yeah.
game. There's a lot of things that you cannot really do to defend yourself. Like you could just get murdered for being good at the game, or maybe for whatever reason someone just says, "I want that guy out." He's gone.
Yeah.
I'd probably get murdered on like the second day.
No, it happens. Or you can just be
um,
cringy and start calling people out as you run through a mission. And so it happens.
So, okay, so Sandra's out, and then Kate's out, and it goes back to back. And then the next moment of suspense is like, what's going to happen now? I think at first, a lot of people are like, oh, they won. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like now they could cut somebody out. CT gives the wink. We made mention of it earlier. Trishelle is clearly suspicious of CT.
Yeah.
What happens? Like we sort of touched on it briefly earlier, but what's your full breakdown of this whole thing?
You know, MJ blew it. I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than MJ blew it. Um, Going to the final, I didn't know that you could eliminate a third person and two people win because in the Traitors UK season one, when the Faithfuls won, there was three Faithfuls that won. There was three at the end whenever US season one ended, but that was probably because three was there as a traitor. But I thought it was 3-0. So I'll be honest with you, I was like, well, MJ's floated her way to a win, you know. But then whenever I found out that you could eliminate another person, I knew she was gone. I knew I was like, she's done for. But then when Trishelle writes down CT, I'm like, oh my God, like what is going on here? And like I said, she blew it. Because in that moment, I thought, I don't know what's going to happen. I had no idea. Is there going to be a deadlock? All MJ has to do is change her vote to CT because Trishelle's making it very obvious that she thinks he's a traitor. She literally just has to change her vote, because CT's not changing his. And she didn't change her vote. And I would love to say that there was probably some stuff that we didn't see because obviously I know how these things work. There's editing involved. Maybe she tried to fight for herself. But I feel like if she said something, if she tried that maneuver, it would have made air. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to just like get rid of her
Yeah.
with her saying nothing. And I don't feel like she did. So maybe that's a question you can ask CT or ask Trishelle in a few days or
Yeah,
weeks or
Trishelle
whatever.
will be. Yeah, Trishelle probably in a couple weeks, 2 3 weeks, sometime later this month, I imagine. But
Yeah,
with Trishelle, she's going to have a lot of insights into the game, and it'll be fascinating to listen to.
yeah,
I just think that it was what I thought was probably the most interesting part of this thing was when I first saw them both throw, the red to, banish again. I'm like, okay, they're in lockstep. Poor MJ. This is gonna,
yeah.
that
I did
stinks.
too. I think
But
everybody did.
that was not again. I want to point out that I think I think CT I don't think CT is super suspicious of MJ being um a traitor. Now, I guess
No.
again, this is a safe play though. Like this is a good move if you are even just a little bit thinking this person could be. Like you can always get them out and go smaller, and then there's a greater chance of you winning, and there's more money. So it's a smart game move. I don't want to make it sound like it isn't. Um, I think Trishelle's motivation the whole time was basically get the traders out at all costs.
Yeah.
So that's where she wanted Kate out at that round table right before. I don't think she was. I don't know. I don't know what. Again, I'd love to hear her thoughts on if she was going to try to get Sandra out again, if she thought Sandra was a traitor. But like the reason why she wanted to end the game, or she didn't want to end the game, was because for that moment, because of how CT acted and suddenly changed his tune and wanted to go after Sandra, and she
Yeah.
just kind of had to go with the group, like she couldn't not do that. That was something that raised suspicion to her and made her think that CT was a traitor. So I want to make it clear that while she did end up switching her vote because CT was able to reassure her and make her feel confident that, okay, I feel good enough. It is you and me. We're good. I'm sorry, MJ. I'm just gonna have to kind of do this.
Yeah.
Um, it was not. I don't. I want to talk like because we'll talk about this reunion show. Trishelle, this was all gameplay, and CT. Hey, it's gameplay for him too. It's not. It's not a personal thing, but I don't think that Trishelle's motive was like, screw MJ, I want to cut her out. It was more of like okay, I think we do have a traitor. In that moment, she thought there was a traitor. She voted for him. And if she didn't think that, she wouldn't have cast that vote because if MJ votes for CT, this game is over and it's MJ
Yeah.
and Trishelle as the winners. And that makes very little sense from a narrative, like, edit standpoint. How do you make that a story?
Exactly. No, I agree 110%. MJ being so upset just I'm sorry, my dogs are barking, but MJ being so upset just absolutely blows my mind. Like absolutely blows my mind because, girl, you were set up. You were in a better spot than CT and Trishelle were, and you blew it. Like you blew it, and you voted for Trishelle, but now you're mad because Trishelle voted for you and actually got what she voted for. You tried to get rid of her too. You tried to vote her out too. She just got you first. You can't be mad. If anything, she should be mad at CT. She shouldn't be mad, period. But if she's mad, be mad at CT. You know what I mean? Like he's the one that voted for you initially, was ready to end the game without you. Trishelle was willing to go with you. Trishelle wanted to go with you, girl. Like, what is it? Why are you mad at her? So it kind of seems like I don't want to like throw this out there, but like it kind of seems like it's like a jealousy, like a woman versus woman type thing, and like not a supportive female type thing, because I don't know what else it could be. Like what else is it? Why are you so mad at Trishelle? What did she do to you other than get you out after you tried to get her out? What did she
She
do?
she has a right to be mad, and CT and Trishelle had a right to make that move. And that's just what I think is great about reality TV.
Yeah.
And I don't look. We're going to talk about the reunion show in a second. I don't think that just because it's a game that you can't have any kind of hurt feelings or
Oh
hard
yeah, for
feelings or
sure.
be upset about anything like that. I think you kind of nailed it. Like her anger should be targeted more towards CT rather than both of them as a unit
Yeah.
because I like as we're talking about Trishelle was not saying screw MJ, let's get her out. Now
I don't even feel
again,
like she's mad
MJ,
at CT. I feel like she's just mad at Trishelle. All
yeah, it
her
was
anger came
weird.
out on
Yeah, that's a
Trishelle.
good
It was
point.
really, that's what I'm saying. It kind of feels like a bitter, jealous
Yeah, like
woman
she
type
was
thing.
jealous that CT wanted to go with her instead of.
Yeah. But I mean, again, just my perspective as a viewer, as a fan, as a viewer, that's what it came across as. It wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look, MJ. It wasn't a good look. So, just my
So
opinion.
this reunion show is something else because we have a really the like headline from the reunion is the stark contrasts between gamers and people who come from non-competition shows.
Yeah.
And I'll start by saying this. There are a lot of gamers that have had hurt feelings and
Oh,
been
yeah.
bitter. And Janelle says we don't take anything personally. Well, I don't think that's really the case. I mean, look at Bananas here, and I'm a huge Bananas fan. I've been a big Bananas fan on the challenge, and I think he's the goat. And I've got like nothing bad to say about Bananas. He says in this reunion show he's sulking and he's upset with Dan for getting him out. Dan says like, "Hey man, like it was a game move. It was a strategy thing. I saw you as someone that was in the way of me potentially winning. I saw you as a threat. I took you out. I hope you can see that as some kind of form of respect and as a compliment." Bananas just like kind of sulks and is like, no, no, I don't do it. I don't see it that way. And like I thought that was a bad look for Bananas because
It was a
we
bad
are
look for
we're
Bananas.
we're talking about the gamers having a thick skin, but Bananas is like this is a guy who's been on over 20 seasons of the challenge.
Yeah.
On a season of the challenge, he had the opportunity to take all of the money and not allow his partner to keep any of it. And for years he's been saying, "Guys, it's a game. It was me making a good TV move." And then you've got him on this reunion show sulking because he was the first one out. It's crazy to me.
Bananas would not have been mad if he was like out episode 6 or 7. Bananas was mad because he was out episode 1 and didn't get screen time, and he was kind of embarrassed. My observation as a fan, because Bananas has a reputation of being a champion. I mean, he wins. He's won how many? I mean, he's probably has the most wins for a single show, more than any other contestant on any show across the board. And so he was embarrassed because he has a reputation and he fell flat. That's ultimately what it boils down to with Bananas, I think. So
How about that? Quick little sneeze, mute the microphone. I got a good sneeze in.
Yeah,
I wasn't dabbing. I just didn't want to sneeze into the mic. No, I think that's right. He felt he had FOMO.
yeah,
Bananas had FOMO. He didn't get to be
absolutely.
a part of this. And I think you know what? I would just say let's bring Bananas on again. I mean, give him
Oh
a chance to
no,
play.
I
No?
think no. I mean, bananas. Uh, like I don't know. Like I like Johnny Bananas, I do, but I like Johnny Bananas on the challenge. Like the challenge is like a very immature teenager show, you know? And so I like Johnny Bananas on that show. Like, I don't know. Like, give me gamers, but don't give me bananas. I don't that's just me. I like bananas. I know that sounds like I don't, but I don't like bananas for traders. When I
I
saw
get
that he
what you're
was on the
saying.
cast, yeah, I was like, so
I get what you're saying. I'd say bring him back. Give him a chance to play again, and we'll see how it goes.
bring me back
But
with him. He'll like
I didn't think it was
annihilate
a
me day one.
it was disappointing. I think it was a great look for him. I'd say that, if you're kind of talking about winners and losers, like he
Yeah.
wasn't one of the winners of this reunion show. Dan takes a lot of heat. And this, I just want to, because I am going to defend Dan here. And
Yeah.
I want to say that, but what I like, as I defend some of the gamers, I also want to point out some of the hypocrisy
Yeah.
that exists with this kind of sentiment of like, it's not this collective thing where it's like, hey, you can do whatever you want to us and we won't be bitter and we won't be upset. Look, love Janelle, but I know Janelle has some feuds with some people that she's been on shows with, like publicly. I
Yeah.
know that Sandra and Parvati infamously did not like each other for 13, 14 years before coming on here. So, like, I just want to point out that, like, yes, it is a game, but I don't want to like absolutely kill the Bravo people for having some emotion and having some feelings
Yeah.
because I know people are going to hear some of the things I have to say, and I want them to know that like no, 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 there is a little hypocrisy here from the gamer side.
Yeah. No, I get that. I do. Um, I don't know like the root of the feud. Like I know, for example, like Janelle is in a pretty public feud with Nicole Franzel. Um, I think Nicole Franzel like eh, I think there was some like underlying behind the scenes stuff with the Amazing Race that started that. I don't necessarily think that maybe that feud is because oh this person did better than me or this person
Right.
pulled the wool over my eyes.
Yes.
Um, but like you were saying, from a game standpoint, I do remember Bananas getting very upset with Josh on one of the most recent seasons of the challenge because he like lied to him, I guess. So I do see what you're saying as far as the hurt feelings from like game standpoint, and
Yeah.
I agree with that. I
That's
do
that's a good
definitely
point,
gamers.
Michael, that what you're bringing up is a difference between um, something that may have been a personal thing that happened that we don't fully know about
Yeah,
versus something that was like, well, this person beat me.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you though. I think the gamers sometimes get very upset too. And I'm really sorry. I let my dogs outside
I don't
before I
hear them.
started the
It's fine.
podcast, and they're like really loud. I'm like, oh god. I didn't know they'd be right at the door, like pawing to get in. But no. Yeah, I agree with you 100% as far as the. Now, I loved Phaedra. Phaedra was like
Yeah.
top notch. Loved her. I feel like I would have loved Sheree. Sheree. What's her name? I don't even know her name.
Sheree.
Sheree. I feel like I would have loved Sheree because like seeing clips of her from the Housewives, like I don't want to say it's a poor casting choice because she had all of it there. You know what I mean? She just, I guess it was a different type of show for her, and she was nervous. But I feel like I would have liked her too. I just probably feel like she just didn't tie into a storyline. But I feel like there had to have been some sass there. I mean, like there had to have been
Yeah.
something there. Um, Larsa, not a big fan of Larsa. And then
She was
Tamra, I
playing
love
though.
Tamra. Yeah, I love Tamra. I did. I loved the Housewives this season, far better than Brandy. But
Well, okay. I will say this next part is so bananas. I don't think comes off very well. I didn't think this was the best night for Phaedra either, though. I gotta say, like, and we love Phaedra, and
yeah,
I know
big Phaedra
that like
fan.
we are big Phaedra fans, and we would love to see her on more shows. We think she played great. She was good TV. Like she was one of the Bravo people that really brought it, as you just mentioned. But like this is a situation where I don't see Dan's vote towards
Yeah,
Phaedra as anything personal. And I think
I don't either.
Dan Dan articulates himself very well. He says, "Look, it was a game move." He's explained this a bunch. The producers have backed him up and said he was making a game move. And what his move was, he explains it is, look, if I get to the end and there are a bunch of Bravo people and Phaedra's there, Phaedra's gonna win, and I'm gonna be the person that it's get or get got. So he says he's basically trying to draw the first, you know,
Yeah,
first move at Phaedra, and she was gonna vote him out anyway.
yeah.
So I don't really see why he has any like there's anything wrong with what he's doing. Now, Sandra did make it. She's let her opinion known. She said on this show she didn't think that was right. But Dan was taking a swing. He was trying. This is what he does. He goes for these crazy moves. It didn't work out for him, and then
And he
it
admitted
hurt.
that.
Yes. And everything he said was like he didn't curse at anybody, he didn't say
Yeah.
anything mean. He was very polite, very respectful. And I just thought that Phaedra was the person who made this a personal thing by calling him a POS and
No, I agree.
cursing at him.
I agree. And my thoughts on the move was Dan was a target. Like Dan was on people's radar. So from Dan's standpoint, if I can get a traitor out, then it looks like, oh, you found a traitor, that buys me more time. And so, yeah, he probably could have gotten Parvati out no problem, but Parvati wasn't a threat to him. Phaedra was. So go big or go home. He tried to make a big move and get Phaedra out. Had he got her out, then it would have been, oh, look, it's a traitor. Good job, Dan. But it didn't work out. And then it wasn't until like 3 episodes later that Phaedra even got brought up again because of that. I mean, Trishelle noticed it, but nobody else said anything. So is that really why? Or was Trishelle saying, I've been taking notes. Here's what happened. Is that why? But again, nobody gives Trishelle credit. So, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think Dan done anything wrong.
And I think, look, again, I don't have a problem with Phaedra saying, like, I'm upset with Dan and I had a problem with what he did. But, like, I think she's the person that's really making it personal by saying, oh, that
Yeah.
guy's trash over there and cursing at him and calling him a POS. I didn't think that was a good look for her. I thought she was above that.
No, I agree. And I know Andy kind of mentioned it during the reunion, but like I'm watching it as a fan thinking, is this what the housewives do? I mean, are they like dramatic and over the top to get a little more screen time? Because Larsa said we're here to be on TV. We want to be on TV as long as
Yeah.
possible. So it's like, are you really this upset? Because why? If you are, what why? Or are you pretending to be this upset because you know that this will make it into the edit?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope
That's
it's
a
the
great
latter.
point. That
So
is a great point because I do think that that very well could have been the case. Um, and I also want to, in terms of like winners from the reunion show, how about Pilot Pete? I thought
yes,
Pilot Pete came off like the best out of this whole group. Like
yes,
first of all, he shows up, he brings out an Allen impression that was spot on. He even had like the facial expressions down. It was
yeah.
amazing.
Do you follow Alan on Instagram?
I don't.
He
I should
shared to
though.
his story. I don't, it may still be up. I know it's only there for 24 hours, but he shared to his story his reaction to watching Pete. So it was really funny. So
That's great. And then he does the whole like, "Hey Phaedra, will you accept this rose?" That was
yeah,
great. That was so fun. Like that's the kind of stuff that I feel like we love at these kind of reunion shows. He brought like
yeah,
a fun, positive energy. And then the one other thing I remember from him at this reunion show was when he gets asked like, and they kind of say like, "Who is the non-gamer that impressed you the most?" And everyone says Peter, and he's like, "Oh, thanks guys. It was so fun. I loved it. It was great." Like
yeah.
I think we need to get Peter on some more of these kind of shows.
I agree. I liked Parvati on the reunion as well because she has the ability to laugh at herself and poke fun at herself. She doesn't take things too serious. She's perfectly
Yeah.
content with being the villain in other people's eyes, and she plays into that role. And I really liked Parvati's response to a lot of things as well. She's just like, whatever. I pout and squint. I lied. I tried. It didn't work
Yeah,
out.
she laughed a lot. She tried to like diffuse, if there was any kind of tension, she was trying to just like
Yeah.
joke and make light of it. That was good. Anything else from this reunion stick out? Good or bad?
No, not really, but I will say for the record, I don't think Abby Maria would laugh at herself like that. It would be explosive. So just throw it out there, production. Abby Maria would be explosive at this reunion. So
How did this compare to your reunion last year?
there was a lot left on the cutting room floor of my reunion. We filmed, it felt like for 4 hours. And yeah, it was, there was a lot of like crying and hurt feel. I was very shocked that Andy asked Sheree if she would split the money or if she would like buy people dinner. It's like, no, she went as fair and square. Hush. Um, so like with the hurt feelings but I don't. Quentin and Ari and Andy was no like you're a piece of crap. There was none of that. Like there was no like. So I don't know. Like I
Well,
guess
it
all
was
be
just
hashed out.
it was just Phaedra and Dan
Yeah.
and a little bit from Bananas. But Bananas, I mean, like, look,
And
Bananas didn't
MJ to
say,
Trishelle. So
yeah, but
yeah,
Bananas didn't say anything mean. He was
no, he
basically just
didn't.
kind of pouting. Was
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Like it happens. And like you said, you're entitled to hurt feelings. You're entitled to be upset. Obviously, if you're passionate about it, you're going to be upset. And like you kind of get over it, but watching it back, it rehashes everything. And then you kind of see confessionals or you hear things you're like, oh, well, we're going to talk about that. So like I get it. I do. Um, I don't know. Like it just floors me, I guess, that people like, and I can genuinely say this. I'm going to say that I can genuinely say this. If by whatever reason I manage to make it to the end, which is probably not ever going to happen because I'm chaotic, but if I were to make it to the end and I was at the end with someone like Sheree or someone like Parvati from season 2, like someone that I love, someone that I've watched, someone that I like know how ruthless they are, I would be like, you bamboozled me. Are you kidding me? I'm so excited. Like I would like if I was a season 1 and Sheree done that to me, I would have been like, oh my God, you finally got your win. I would be floored. But then again, at the same time, I didn't go out there for money because I wanted the experience of a lifetime. It's not that I don't need the money, it's just I want experiences more than money. And so it's like whatever happens, happens. I'm a fan of these shows. Like you're not going to see me again unless I'm invited back for an All Stars or I'm invited on a podcast like this. I'm not going to be like the next Brad Pitt and be in movie. You know what I mean? It don't happen. Unless you're like Elizabeth Hasselbeck. But like it don't happen. Let's be realistic, guys. And so I don't know. I don't understand the extent that people are upset. It's like you win some, you lose some. You lost. You lost some. You lost. So suck it up and get over it. You have more money in your bank account than Dan does anyway, Phaedra. I can guarantee it. So like he lost too. So suck it up. Get over it.
well, too, like, I think the thing that's kind of important to talk about is like on season 1, not to entirely rehash everything from last season, but Ceree's supposed to like why like if she let Quentin and Andy win, she wouldn't have been following the rules of the show. She's
No.
supposed to beat them and lie to them and scheme. She didn't have to do what she did to Ari. So I think that's a different thing where I feel like Ari has more of a reason to be upset
Yeah.
than Andy or Quentin. And then in this situation, like MJ, I think this is a similar thing because it wasn't like a traitor screwed her. It was another faithful.
Yeah.
But like we talked about though, like I mean, we don't need to keep bringing up the MJ thing. Like,
Yeah, no, no, I get it. I will. Lips are sealed on MJ, but I will say
no,
this:
no, no. I just mean I feel like we've made it very clear like
we
what our
we've
thoughts
drug her
are on.
enough, or I've drug her
No,
enough. So
no, you have, yeah, yeah. You can if you can keep going if you want to. That's not the point. The point is that it's like okay, like we've already kind of made our point about like
yeah,
yes, Trishelle wasn't trying to, and CT seemed to be, but we don't know. So,
yeah.
but yeah, then
And
anyway,
that's
it
the
was
thing
it.
too with like Sheree and Andy and Quentin going back to season 1. It's like she became close friends with them, and that friendship was genuine. That friendship was authentic. But in their mind, it came across like you only befriended me so that you could betray me. You only befriended me so that you could like reel me in and I would believe every word you were saying. So I can see that. You know what I mean? Like they were hurt because they trusted this person and became friends with this person to be betrayed by them. That didn't happen in season two. That's not what happened in season two. It was, hey, I want to win this money. We've not worked together at all this whole
Yeah.
game. I just tried to vote to keep you, but for whatever reason, you're still not picking anything up and running with it. So I
Yeah.
got to do what I got to do. So it was a little different. There was no emotion involved there. It was just, oh, I thought I was going to win. Why didn't you bring me to the end? Girl, I brought you to the end. You got to do something to cross the finish line. And so I feel like that's probably, for me anyway, as a viewer and as a fan, why I don't sympathize with MJ like I do with Andy and Quentin. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I do think that, like, with Trishelle, she and MJ were, it's like, I don't remember like any scenes where they had any conversations with each other the whole
I don't
season.
remember any scenes with MJ, period, except for when she walked into the room. But that's just me again, dragging her. So go on. Reza hates me anyway. That whole Shaza Sunset team don't like me.
That
So
show.
it's all good. That whole
I
show
never,
hates me.
I had never heard of that show before,
I
Traitors.
never either. So
But I think that this was a great outcome because if if it was the three of them from a narrative thing, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like you
yeah,
want if you have this outcome, you want two people that are working with each other the whole season. That's a story
agreed.
that you can tell. So like you and I are gonna rewatch the season at some point. Like I don't know, maybe I'm rewatching it in the summer, maybe it's like a couple years from now, but at some point I'm gonna be like, I want to watch season two again. And I'm gonna be watching the CT and Trishelle storyline from the very beginning, and it's
Yeah,
all gonna make sense. And it made sense culminating in that moment. And if you have MJ in there as like the third person, it's kind of like, oh, huh,
yeah.
interesting. They just kind of all like ended up being the three that were there together. It makes more sense to have the two people that have like a 20-year history being the sole winners.
Agree. The best part about reality shows for me is the relatability and the likability that you feel with the players. And I think that's one thing that having an all celeb cast kind of does away with. You can't relate to anybody. There's no real underdog. There's nobody you're like, oh, I'm a single mom, or I have panic attacks, or I'm awkward, or I'm feeling like no one likes me. Like I'm this person too. Like I relate to this character so much, like I lost my brother, like like you grab hold of somebody and like personal connection, like you just feel their heart and you like relate to them. And as a viewer with the celebs, you don't really get that because they're so seasoned in it that they're not authentic and they're not vulnerable and they don't break down. They're in game mode the whole way. They've already learned from their vulnerability. They know what to do this time to win. They're not there as emotional players. And so you pick up on little things like, okay, Trishelle and CT, this brother sister connection, this back and forth bickering, this fighting. That's what you do relate to. That's what you have to relate to as a reality TV fan. And I agree with you. I don't want, oh man, I fight with my sister all the time too. I fight with my best friend all the time too. I hope these two can work it out together. Who is this lady jumping in the mix with them? Like you don't want that. And so as a viewer and as a fan, I would have been disappointed had MJ won.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the edit's going to look a little different if we see MJ winning. Like, it would
Yeah.
make a little, maybe there's a greater insight into her strategy. And, like, I hope MJ does a bunch of interviews. I'll give her a fair interview and I will let her talk. Because I'd love to know what her strategy was and let her explain herself. Because I do think that's the one thing to note is that if she does win, she's going to get a little bit of a different edit. But, I mean, from what we saw, like these two I think were the two best faithfuls on the
Yeah.
season. Maybe
Oh,
you want to throw
absolutely.
Peter in maybe throw Peter in there as well as like another one, but like these guys played a great game and they played a little differently. Like CT
Yeah.
is kind of like a little bit of like a play the middle, go where the numbers are kind of guy.
Yeah.
He had like a little and then like at the end game he was a little more aggressive by wanting to take that shot at Sandra. And Trishelle was like the whole time, like she had said in her confessionals, like, I'm gonna try to lay low at the very beginning. Then in the middle, I'm gonna start kind of making my calls on who I think they were. And she was like her track record, she was batting 1,000. She was right on everything.
Yeah, she just couldn't get no one to listen to her, and like it is what it is. So that surprised me though. Like I really didn't think Trishelle would come in as this, strategic gamer. I was pleasantly surprised. I loved it. Loved her. I'm glad she won.
Well, and they also, these were two best challenge competitors they had the
Yeah,
whole season too.
yeah.
Like there wouldn't have a prize pot if it weren't for them. So
No,
it was it was perfect. It was like these are the right people that should win. The way that it ended, it was so dramatic. It was emotional. I was on the edge of my seat. It was great. The other thing that I think was really important here, Michael, I think here in season 2, it was super important and great that the Faithfuls won
yeah,
because for the longevity of this show, I think what people are going to think about is if they see, let's say Sandra was a traitor and she won in a similar fashion with as Sheree, and maybe she splits it with Phaedra or whatever. After 2 seasons and especially after 3 seasons, people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, the traitors are always gonna win. The game's
yeah,
unfair. This is how it's gonna go," and then people are gonna lose interest. This reminds me a little bit of the early days of Survivor. When Richard Hatch won, the conversation after Borneo was, well, only a man could win Survivor. And then Tina wins, and it's like, oh no, men and women can win. And then it was after Richard and Tina, they each won, and Colby lost. The conversation was, well, the good guy, the hero, is never going to win. The fan favorite never wins. And then Ethan wins on season 3. And I
yeah,
think it was great because it was showing different variations of how this
yeah.
thing can play out. And I think that's super important for the longevity of the trader. So I think that makes this season a huge success.
No, I agree. I think it's great. Question for you. I'm assuming we're about done, so I'm gonna question for you. And if we're not done, let me know and we can answer this question later. I know you're a big Survivor fan. Who do you want to see from Survivor on the next season?
So I put this out there. This was like 2 weeks ago. And I proposed 4 different combos that I would like to see on the next season. These are, I think, the 4. I'd take any of these. Jerry and Colby. Honestly, that'd probably be my number one. Just get see Colby on another show, like, oh my gosh. Robin Russell, Boston Robin Russell, um, Tyson and Coach, Fair Play and Rupert. So those would be kind of like those. Any of those pairings, I'd be super happy with. My favorite would be Jerry and Colby because I think what we've done so far is we've established like we're gonna kind of cast a couple of people from a show that know each other. So Steph and Sheree were very good friends,
Yeah.
and then Rachel and Cody had been friends, and Janelle and Dan had worked together before on Big Brother. They played together, and then we had this like kind of a rivals thing with Parvati and Sandra. So I like this kind of idea of like, let's not just pluck a couple of random people from these shows. Like, let's have a couple that know
With the
each other.
history.
Yeah. So
Listen,
like, if I'm thinking of combos, those are the yeah. Go ahead.
no, I think that's great. Listen, I think that's fantastic. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's phenomenal. And so, like, I propose Jerry and Kobe. Like, out of that group, Jerry and Kobe would be my number one. I have heard a rumor, again, as a fan, I read all the blogs and forums, all the fan stuff, that Rob and Russell are in talks. I don't know. We'll see. That's not insider information, that's fan information. Because, like I said, I'm up to date on all the spoilers. Um, so they'll never invite me. Oh, you share too much, man. I'm like, listen, I share as a fan. Like, how am I supposed to know this stuff's true? Um, but yeah, I would love to see Brittany Haynes from Big Brother. Do you watch Big Brother?
Yeah, I've seen some Big Brother. Yeah.
Oh my God, Brittany Haynes. Like, I'm telling you right now, I know they do a Survivor, and I know they do Big Brother. If Brittany Haynes is not their Big Brother contestant, they have dropped the ball so
Then
hard.
Brittany and Lane, they get
Uh,
both.
yes, Brittany. Like, we need Brittany. Brittany Haynes is like, I'm going to say, going to be the greatest casting choice. Like, we need a new Kate Chastain. And watching Brittany Haynes, you'll be like, who's Kate? Like, she's hilarious. She's so funny. Alan will love her. Like, we need Brittany Haynes. So, Brittany Haynes from Big Brother. Obviously, I want Abby Maria from Survivor, but only as a faithful because she would be hilarious. I wouldn't mind seeing Kelly Whitworth from Survivor because she's a huge gamer. One thing I will say about Kelly Whitworth, she was pre-jury her first time around, and she
Yeah.
came back and did phenomenal. And now she's like top 10, probably top five, honestly, female competitors of all time. I love
Really?
her.
I
That
would never that high, but
that's my perspective. I'm a
yeah.
huge fan of Kelly
You're a big
Whitworth.
fan. You're a fan.
Yeah, big fan of Kelly Whitworth. The whole Whitworth will not count. Like, that can't be beat in my eyes. Like, Whitworth will not count. Um, but yeah, I would love to see them. Um, yeah, Brittany
Let's
Haynes,
talk Big Brother for a
Abby.
second here.
Yeah.
Big Brother people. Uh okay, so I suggested a couple names to Rachel like a month ago and she shut them down, but on this very show, I suggested like Hayden and Enzo.
No, I like. Listen, I'm not like anti Hayden and Enzo, but I'm gonna say no. Hayden bored me to tears. Okay, Hayden
Really?
was, yes. I was not a fan of Hayden because Hayden was like your stereotypical person. Like, there was nothing about him that didn't make me think he would do good. He was just a pretty face with a bland personality, and he was good at competitions. So of course he's going to do well on the show. I mean, he's going to fit in and have no problem making friends. The same way with Cody from Big Brother. Like, I'm not surprised that you're doing well because you're a pretty face and you're an outgoing personality who bros up and makes good friends with people. Like, that's what you do. Give me somebody who's struggling to fit in. Give me somebody who's funny, not just pretty. And like, okay, you want a challenge. I would be floored if you lost the challenge. Like, give me somebody that's like unpredictable and like strategic. I'm not a big fan of Hayden. As far as Enzo, I loved Enzo. What was it, season 12 that he was initially on?
Same season, those two. That's
Yeah,
why I suggest
yeah.
them as a package.
I loved Enzo. But when Enzo came back as an all-star, he was a floater and did what he was told. And so that was disappointing. So it's like, are you going to have a mind of your own and play this? Or are you going to go with the house, as they say on Big Brother? And so I would not want either one of them on Traitors. Give me
Okay.
Brittany, though. I'll take Brittany from season 12. But
I think Hayden's great. I love Hayden and I love Enzo.
yeah.
And the other name I was gonna throw out there from Big Brother, two more from Big Brother. Evil Dick. Yeah. No.
I like Evil Dick. I think Evil Dick would be good TV. I don't know if he would do it because I'm pretty sure that the reason he was off of the second
Yeah.
season was because of like a medical condition
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he
I
was
don't know what
public
the rules
about.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very
Um.
public about it. So, but
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. But yeah,
Right.
I don't know if he'd be allowed to. Um, yeah, also, I think in this day and age, like in the era that we live in, I don't know how well he would be perceived. You know what I mean? Like,
That's why
he
we
burned a
need we
girl.
need the we need the evil dicks on
Yeah. No,
TV.
I agree. I agree. I'm a big fan of Evil Dick, but like, I remember him burning Jen with a cigarette and dumping tea over her head. No, that would not fly in
No.
2024. You'd be like, man, what?
Definitely not.
Get out of here. But I like Evil Dick.
The other one is Alyssa Riley. I think it'd be fun to have Alyssa on there.
Listen, like, I want to meet Alyssa, and I don't know if it's because I'm a fan of hers or because I need the gift girl. I need a selfie with the gift girl. Like, I love Alyssa. Alyssa was like well, I don't say the only fresh air of her season. She was on a hot mess of a season, but it was her and like, what was the dentist? I think he was on her season, right? Yeah, like, there was a few people on her season that was like shining stars. So I'm a big fan of Alyssa. I do. I like Alyssa a lot. So I
Yeah, I
would
think that'd
be
be
Alyssa.
a fun because they've had Rachel on. That's a little like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
my sister played season one. Maybe they save her for like season four or season five because they might
Yeah.
want to have like the Big Brother like super icons first. But I mean, she's
Yes.
iconic as well. Is there anything else from this finale or reunion that you want to touch on?
Um, no, not really. I wish we would have saw more of Janelle because I'm Team Janelle. I love Janelle. At the start of the season, I was rooting for Janelle. I really wanted Janelle to take it home. Janelle and Poverty were my favorites. I was hoping to see more of Janelle. I really like Bergie, so I was hoping to see more
Yeah,
of Bergie too. But
Bergie's
yeah,
always
it's
happy. He's always
yeah,
happy.
I know. I love it. And Berkey
Yeah.
would never talk trash about people like I do. So maybe you can have Berkey the next time. You're never invite me back, I know. But
Oh, you're coming back. Deal or No Deal Island, baby. You're coming back.
yeah, but
You're gonna write my like exit interview questions for Deal or No Deal
hey,
Island
good
too.
deal. I'll do it. I'll write those exit interview questions. Listen, I have watched the first little bit of Deal or No Deal Island. I love Aaron. Love Aaron. So if he by chance goes home, I don't know. I didn't watch the end of episode 2. He may have already went home. I don't know. But
We're
if
gonna
you
talk to everybody. So if he
Okay. Well,
wins, we'll
when
talk
you
to him.
talk to
So
Aaron, let him know that Michael from season 1 of Traitors loves him. And he's gonna be like, "Who's Michael?" Be like the cringy guy that cried constantly. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Aaron. I want him to be my friend. So let him know that. He
okay, I
reminds me
will
of
do
Carson
that.
from Survivor. We need Carolyn from Survivor on Traitors. Can you imagine?
Is
Gosh,
that
what
someone from a
chaos!
new season?
Yes.
I have not watched like anything since 40, but I've seen every season
Listen,
1 to 40.
you
And
need to
I will
watch
say
44.
this. They've been pulling people from like the old school seasons, and I want them to keep
I
doing
know.
that. I
I
think those are the
love
biggest
it.
draws.
I love
Yeah.
it. Absolutely.
Last thing, I just want to like season 2 as a whole. What'd you think about it compared to season 1?
I it was the kinks were worked out. I'm not going to say that like it was better or anything, because I feel like we had the potential, but the editing was better, the production was better, the missions were better, the strategizing was better. People knew what to expect, so they knew what to bring up at roundtables. Nobody came in scared, minus a 3 or 4 who made it to final 3 or 4. I'm just kidding. Maybe final 3 or 6. But anyways, so like there were a few people who were lackluster, but we had a lot of people season 1 who were scared to play, and they were not scared this time around. And I loved it. Loved it. It was such a great season. Like you said at the beginning, I watch all reality shows across the board. The biggest fan you can imagine. I will honestly say with confidence probably single-handedly the best season of any competition reality show I have ever seen. Loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ever in all TV.
Yes. Now, obviously, there's contestants from other shows that like I loved, but like the contestants as a whole, I think these guys brought the most to the table. The drama was there, the likability was there, the competitiveness was there, um, the deception was there. They wasn't scared. They came to play, and buddy, they played. Overall more people and more of it was there for this season of this show. Loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I think that the finale was amazing. That's some of the best reality TV I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
And I think there's a lot of freshness with this show, and
yeah,
that's why I'm choosing to cover Deal or No Deal Island instead of Survivor because look, I love old school Survivor. I was really into Survivor, but it's been on for 46 seasons and like I really haven't had that much passion or interest behind it. Um in recent years, especially since COVID and since they made Fiji the permanent home and they shortened the amount of days and everything like that. It's like, the show's been on for a very, very long time.
yeah.
And I'm excited about the freshness of some of these Peacock and NBC reality shows with
I
Deal or No
agree.
Deal Island, this show Traitors. Like there's a lot of freshness there. There's a lot of new ideas. There's a lot. It's fun. I thought this cast was phenomenal. I
Mhm.
loved, like you said, people were more confrontational. One thing that was really different, like I don't remember ever seeing on your season where they just kind of be sitting at breakfast and be like, hey, Dan or Phaedra or even Sandra or CT, like, what do you think? Who do you think's coming through here? Just
Yeah,
like to call people out like that. And part of it is the evolution of the game. Like, and it's going to
yeah.
keep evolving. And I think
Oh,
next
for sure.
season, one of the big things will be if they keep kind of the same format of we pick the traders, like, and they cast the same number of people from the same number of shows. I expect next season you're going to probably see the competition show people going out very early, and I think the
Yeah,
Bravo clique will stick together. And it'd be like, oh, we don't want to play with those guys. They're real personal. They're real cutthroat. They play the
yeah.
game hard. Like we're gonna want to get them out. So Maybe they cast more people from competition shows next season
Yeah.
to offset
I would
that.
like them to cast more people from the same shows because that's the difference in like the Bravo celebrities versus the competition show gamers. Because MTV is going to stick together, CBS is going to stick together, like Survivor, Big Brother are going to stick together. But Bravo, it don't matter what show you're from, you're Bravo. They have BravoCon, they have all the Bravo themed stuff. So those Bravo folks know each other. So whether you're from Summer House or Shaw's or Housewives, you're in that clique. Whereas Big Brother, well, I've just got one other person. Survivor, you got one other person. So I think they need to cast more people from more shows, um, or more people from the same show rather, because I feel you on that. I feel like that's going to become a big problem soon. So.
Any other predictions for how things are going to shake out in terms of the evolution of this gameplay moving into next season?
Oh, I can't wait to see it though. I'm like you. It's such a good show. It's so fresh. There's not been anything like it. Um, I love it. I really do. I love everything about it. It's such a good show. Um, I don't really know. Like I like the murder in plain sight this time around. That's something
Yeah,
that
that
you
was a good
really just have to
touch.
be cautious about, though, because people are going to start picking up on them if you do them consistently. I'm anxious to see what they come up with. It's going to be good. That's
Yeah,
why we
some
need
good
Abby Maria because she's going to be explosive. So
good twists. Lastly, we didn't do the challenge thing. Who from the challenge should be the representatives for next season?
you know
I'll give
what?
you two.
Okay,
One male, one female.
okay. So me go first.
Yeah.
Okay. Geez. I'm an old school challenge fan. I love Katie, Coral, and Veronica. Love
Oh yeah.
them. Coral,
Oh yeah.
I would say Coral. Coral for sure. As far as the guys, oh gosh. I think Wes would be
Yeah.
just like loud and dramatic. I want to go with like somebody like the Miz because he's
Oh,
multidimensional. He's like kind
if
of
he would do
comical.
it.
If he would do it, he's a little bigger now, with the
Yeah.
WWE and stuff. I
But
also
they
like
did
Big
get
Easy.
Deontay Wilder, so
That is true. They did. I like Big Easy. He was on Fresh
yeah.
Meats.
Oh man,
Also, he's
yeah.
from Kentucky. So, Katie actually lives in Kentucky now too. She's a interior decorator in Lexington. So,
Oh.
she's actually on Challenge 40. But no,
Oh
I would
wow.
say Big Easy because he's funny. He's just comical. He's not your stereotypical muscle guy. He's got some weight on him, so he relies a lot on his social skills and his strategy. But he's a gamer, and I would say Big Easy and Coral would be my two picks if the Miz wouldn't do it.
I think the most likely pick is going to be Cara Maria.
Oh yeah, Carberry and Polly for sure.
Yeah, maybe they do that. But I would welcome that. But I would
Yeah,
also like my pick probably for female. I think Veronica. Let's go old school.
yeah,
And then male. I think. Look, Wes is like. I think Wes is dying to play this game. And so
yeah,
like let's let Wes be a traitor and let him be like Dan on season 3, and he'll go
yeah,
out real early because he'll think he's manipulating everybody,
yeah.
and it'll be funny.
Do you remember the Katie and Veronica feud? Do you remember that
Yes.
season? Whenever I mean,
Yeah.
it was like an
Was that
all-out
when
brawl.
she tried to like unhook her like thing when she was
Yeah,
like she was on like a zip line or I don't even know what was that. She was on like some wire. She tried to like unhook her carabiner, which she
yeah.
would have killed her.
Listen, like that's what I want. That's what I want. I don't want just like loud in your face drama. I want Katie and Veronica. I want that kind of feuding. Give me that kind of feuding.
Yeah.
So Abby Maria will bring us that kind of feuding. Come on, Peacock. So I don't know.
He is Michael Davidson. You can follow him at Michael Davidson _ on Instagram. I see he put his Instagram name here on the StreamYard. Is there anything else that you have to say or anything you would like to promote before we say goodbye for now?
No, I'm pretty average and uneventful, but I will definitely be tuning into Deal or No Deal Island, waiting for the call to join that podcast.
Yeah, you will. You'll be on.
Yeah.
We'll have you on for sure.
And then I'll be back hopefully in the fall because allegedly Traitors 3 films in May. So hopefully I'll be back in the fall and we'll discuss
Absolutely.
if Abby Maria's there, how great she is. So
Sounds good. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. That concludes our conversation today with the man, Michael Davidson. Hope you guys enjoyed hearing from him, and he did at least a replacement level job filling in for Stephanie. He had big shoes to fill. Of course, we missed Stephanie today. Before we sign off, I just want to say thank you to everybody who chose to listen to the Jack Vita show for your Traitors coverage all season long. And I'm sure we got some of you guys. This may have been the first one you caught. This may have been the first episode, or you just kind of joined us maybe later in the season. Like I said, our coverage is not quite over. We will be interviewing Trishelle. And like I said, I'd love to get some more cast members. I'm going to try to get other cast members. If there's anyone in particular that you really want to hear from, comment and let me know. And then, like I said, send them a note or a comment on social media and say, hey, have you thought about going to the Jack Vita show? Would love to hear from you. You could send them 1 note, 2 notes, not 3. That's too much. We don't want to spam these people. But if there is someone that you guys want to hear from, just let me know. Stephanie will be back. We'll get her thoughts on the finale and the reunion when she's available. And like I said, she's on spring break. She's gone next week as well. So we will get that interview at some point. And she's, like I said, I just want to give a big shout out to Stephanie, because Stephanie is an insanely busy person. I'm amazed that she was able to carve out time and do this show with me each week. And I'm so, so appreciative and grateful. And she brought such great analysis, and it's just so much fun. She's so much fun to talk with, so much fun to listen to, has some of the greatest insights that you'll hear about this show as it relates to the game. And she can speak from experience. But this is one of my favorite things that we've ever done on this show. And we grew a lot of our audience. We got a lot of new viewers. We're so glad you guys joined us. We will have more Traitors coverage, but I hope you will also join us for more coverage in the meantime. Deal or No Deal Island. Did you watch Deal or No Deal back in the day? Are you interested in this show? I mean, it's a new show. You don't have to say that you're a viewer. Maybe just give it a shot. Watch it a couple episodes. We'll be jumping in here with a 3rd episode, Brooke and I. Check out the show. You've got some friends to listen to that'll talk about it, and it'll be a fun time. We'll make some jokes, and it'll be a good time. It's gonna be a little different, but Brooke's awesome. You guys are gonna love Brooke. She's a little like Stephanie in some regards. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I've always wanted to do a podcast with her and kind of work on a project together. So she was on Survivor Guatemala, and you guys are gonna love it. So we'll see. There'll be more reality TV coverage throughout the year, and we'll also have interviews like you guys can see on this channel. We interview people like old school Survivor contestants and Big Brother contestants, Amazing Race. There'll be a lot of that on this channel. So the fun is not ending. Even though the season is. But I do want to just make note that I am very thankful to all of you who chose to listen to us and make this your Traitors show, or one of your Traitors shows. I mean, I know we got some notes that this was kind of like one of a handful of shows that people had in their rotation. Just very thankful that you guys tuned in and you guys found this show, and hopefully you got some laughs and had some fun along the way. And if there are other shows that you want me to cover, you can comment that as well. For now, it's Deal or No Deal Island, but be on the lookout for more. I think that's it. But again, I just want to say thank you, and especially thank you to Stephanie. I wish she was here so that I could be saying all this to her face to face. I'll have to do it when she comes back and make her feel awkward. It's like that, blowing out the candles at the birthday cake kind of moment. Everyone's singing happy birthday to you, and you don't really know how to respond. So I will make her feel awkward, and it'll be great. All right, guys. We did it. The Traitors. Season 2. We covered every single episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe to the Jack Vita Show here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can follow me on social media at Jack Vita Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Until our Deal or No Deal coverage, which begins tomorrow, I'm Jack Vita, bringing the dancing lobsters.